We'll start with the container grown version. This Seiryu is 42 years old now. We have two identical trees, one in the garden and one in the container. They were both grown in containers for the first approximately 20 years. The other one we decided to put into the garden. This one we kept in the container. Now, approximately 4 years ago, I repotted this particular tree, and it was the second time I actually had repotted it. It was initially in a 24 by 24 inch cedar box for approximately 20 years, and prior to that it was in a cedar box for about 10 years, and prior to that it was in smaller containers and slowly built up to the 24 by 24 inch. This time around we decided to cut the roots back 6 inches either side and on the bottom, and then drop it into an 18 by 18 inch cedar box. And this is 4 years now in the pot. It's done fantastic, no issues at all. The beauty of the Seiryu is you get the lace leaf, but you get it in an upright form. Now, this particular tree above the box is approximately just over 5 feet in height, and that's its maximum height. The only downside to container growing, if you want to look at it that way, is the constant watering. Now, of course, we enjoy it. It's part of our morning routine. When the weather is hot and dry, and actually in the spring, once the leaves start opening up, you want to water these trees every morning if it's not raining. As far as fertilizer goes, we add approximately 2 tablespoons of a slow release Osmocote, generally a 3 or 6 month timed release. A common product would be a 14-14-14, which is available in most nurseries. Good quality, it does the job. And again, when you're into these bigger pots, about 2 tablespoons. If you've got a small pot, 1 tablespoon is more than enough. As far as pruning goes, of course in the container they do grow much slower, so of course your pruning is much less. I generally prune these trees in the early spring just before the leaves come out, just so I can get a nice visual and shape it exactly the way I like. But with that said, you can prune them at any time. Once leaves are fully out and you see a shoot pushing out, you don't want it, cut it off. It's fine, it won't hurt the tree at all. The most beautiful, striking feature of these varieties, or the Seiryu, is the fall colors. As you can see in the image here, you get a peach red tone that stands out above any of our other Japanese maple specimens in the garden. So now let's move on to the garden grown specimen. Here we have the identical age Seiryu. Now this one has been in the garden for approximately the past 20 years. It's exactly the same age as the one we saw in the container on the veranda. Now you'll notice the difference in growth rate. It's much more aggressive growing, as you can see. There's plenty of shoots coming out. It's a lot fuller looking, of course. Now in the garden, of course, those roots have access to much more nutrients, etc., that will feed the tree at a much quicker rate. As far as the growth habit is concerned, yes, it is taller, but it won't really grow any taller than this unless, of course, you don't prune the tops, and you will get a little more height if you choose to. Now we like this height. It's approximately just under 8 feet tall, or I would say 2.5 meters, and it makes again a very nice landscape application. It is a very, very robust full leaf tree. Again, you get the same fall colors, the beautiful red peach tones. And the only difference now in the garden is, of course, the pruning. It does require more. I generally prune this tree twice a year. I haven't pruned it yet this spring. I will wait for all these young shoots to fully push out and fill out. Then I'll do the first pruning. And then again I'll do a second pruning, likely in mid-August. Again, pruning is personal preference. You may not want to prune at all. Personally, we like to keep them in a nice, more compact shape because they're such a beautiful tree, and again, it's personal preference. So there you go. You've got the Seiryu in the garden or in the container. They're both beautiful specimens and lend themselves equally well in either application. Thanks for watching.